It's Wednesday, a day where we make way for our wonderful Toon ladies as we highlight, review, discuss, and get to know everything there is to know about our women's team. It's time for Howay The Lasses on the Toon Review.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon Review. I must apologise for the late start. Basically, it's been an extremely stressful weekend, and I fell asleep earlier on, and I woke up at 3 minutes to 7 to Susan putting the tea on my knee and saying she didn't realise I was on at 7. She thought it was 8 as usual, but hey, it happens. But here we are. Danielle, good evening.
Good evening.
And how are you?
I'm brilliant.
Good, good. Now, this is a debut show, just to let people know that this, we obviously decided after last week's fantastic interview with Freya that we were going to keep focus on the ladies team at least once a week, and that's what we're doing here tonight. We'll look at the previous game, what happened in it, and of course looking forward to some more action at the weekend for the for Newcastle ladies who are taking on Durham, my hometown, but I'll be cheering on the Lasses as normal. But interestingly, we are hopefully going to get some guests on as the shows progress as well, to really promote. And we'll also be looking for your input as well, obviously in the live comments, just about what you think of the ladies' team. Do you go and watch them, or you know, did Freya inspire you to go and watch them, etc., etc.? Because it's great to know who's going to go to these games and who's going to promote the women's team as well, because it's good to see more channels getting involved. Of course, Adam does it, Newcastle Fans TV do it, and we're going to do it as well, so as best we can. Anyway, we'll have a look at some comments first of all. Gary says, good evening, Toon Review family. Good evening, everyone in the chat. And comments respectful, no caps or duplicates, and enjoy the show. Tony Hunter, good evening. Godfather, evening, everyone. How are the Lasses? Any special guests today? Not today. I've been in touch with certain members of the ladies' team, or women's team. Did they like being called ladies or just women's team, Danielle? What
Lady Mags.
Lady Mags. All right, is that the way it is? Okay. And also the photographer as well. And but now
is it Serena or
no,
the women's photographer? Right. Okay.
It's his name's escaped me. Colin Locke, who will hopefully join us soon as well. It'll be happening over the next few shows, just once this show gets going and gets more established. Obviously Freya gave us a great start last week, but obviously now they're under the umbrella of Newcastle United. They have to double check with media teams, etc. It's not as easy as it used to be for them, because obviously they have to go through the correct channels just to make sure that everything's okay. Mary, good evening. I hope you're well. Carl's here. I love the Toon farm, says Mary. Pilo Keith, evening all, looking forward to the show. Mary says currently waiting for takeout and enjoy this. That was at 6:58, so hopefully you've got that by now. James, good evening. In early for this one, indeed. Up the A1. Hi, everyone. Not going to catch tonight's show. We'll be watching it later. Hopefully catch a few ladies' matches this season also. We all love the team. Great stuff. Danielle just informing people that it's 7:15 sound. Evening Toon Review, says Matt. Listeners and Mod Squad from a very early morning down under. Well, yeah, it will be. Well, round about the same. Is it 12 hours, I think?
Yeah, I think that's commitment mind. That time
Absolutely.
in the
morning. 100%. John says, let's this up and running for the ladies team. Spike, good evening. Hope you're well. Anyone seen any rainbows with the rain, says Mary? No. Apparently it's hailing where Gary is. I wouldn't have a clue. I've been passed out, but never mind. Good evening, Rachel. Let's have a look. Steve says, name suggestion for the show. It's all about the Lasses. Well, we came up with Howay The Lasses because it's straightforward, it's easy, and it's what we say. How are the Lasses?
It's a good suggestion, though. Thank you very much.
It is, yes, indeed. But look, we appreciate that. But you know, How are the Lasses? Tom says that's a better suggestion than my women's Wednesday. Yeah, yours sounded like a magazine, Tom. Unfortunately, the old magazines that our parents used to buy, like Women's Weekly and what were the other ones? Gordon Bennett, Women's Own. Yeah, there was a few of them, but now it's all
Thanks
changed.
for the suggestion anyway, Tom. I mean, we'll take all suggestions.
Absolutely. Ian, good evening. We are very well. Rachel says hi, Paul and Danielle. Everyone just saying hello to each other in the chat. When we were in promotion this season, is there a marquee sign to help push for a double promotion? I'll tell you what, it's all about getting to the Women's Super League, isn't it, Danielle? It's all about that top division. And it's going to take a lot of time to get there, but we'll get there.
But I think we'll get there with the investment. Like, I know Freya spoke last week about the owners and how their commitment, and I think that speaks volumes. And I think, with everyone being on the same page, everybody being under the same umbrella, and the commitment that's there, we'll achieve it. We were very unlucky last season. Very unlucky. We just missed out on promotion.
It was heart-wrenching, wasn't it? Really, so close.
The girls just played their socks off, and it was just unlucky that we didn't get it. But I think currently, as we stand now, we're joint top of the league, so we're level on points. So we're so close. So I believe that the girls will do it. They've got everything. They've got the talent. They've got the commitment. And they all want to play for the shirt, which is the battle, isn't it? So
it's like Freya was saying, she came across so well and positively about how Becky is so passionate, and obviously, when I said to her about Becky being looks really nice when she's interviewed, she comes across really nice and things like that, and then she says, but she can lose her temper and things like that, be like Eddie Howe. And it was gut-wrenching last season, because those of you that don't know, they just missed out on promotion. And it would have taken us to the next level, where, of course, the Lasses want to go. But it's this season, again, they've started really well. And, of course, last week they beat Norton and Stockton 1-0 away from home. Now, that was a big game, because Norton and Stockton are a good side.
They've been unbeaten.
Yeah. They were, and if there's just the confirmation of the result there, it certainly was a tough game. Now, I've seen a few highlights from the game, and I have to say that there was a lot of great saves in that game from both goalkeepers. It was a tremendous midfield battle, but Grace Donnelly pulled off some wonderful saves in goal, and it has to be applauded for that, because there was some really touch and go moments there, but they held their own. They battled through. Apparently a very physical battle in midfield, mainly in the second half. I remember watching Adam's video on it and said he wasn't too impressed with the first half. It was a bit of a...
It was a slug match. That's what it was. It was, they were totally had to battle from the off, and it was very, very close, very competitive all the way through. But that's what it's going to take to get promotion. So you're going to have to come, yourself with anything in life. Sometimes you to get in the win, it doesn't matter how you get that win. You get the win, and then you worry about it the next day in training when you're analysing all of the performances, etc., and what needs to be improved. So sometimes it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be great to watch. It just needs to get the points, which is what we did on Sunday. I'm proud of them for battling in.
Oh, it was a fantastic result, and it's we'll touch more on it in a second, because Steve says I bought the season ticket for the Lasses for £30. My seat at St James's costs about £45 a game, so 30 quid is nothing. Went down to Stockton too, really enjoying it. Yeah, Steve, I know from your comments you do follow the Lasses around as well, and it's great, because they are getting that support home and away as well. And I think certainly the teams that come up here, or the girls go down and play, they get quite a surprise at how many Newcastle fans turn up, even like fans from outside of Newcastle who think, the women's team's playing in the area, the weekend, we'll go and watch them play. And it's a great support. But I've noticed that, certainly when the attendances have been announced, I mean, in this division, I think Newcastle are averaging around nearly 2,500 fans a game. And the rest of them don't seem to be able to get up to 1,000. It's again a massive club for the women's game in the wrong league at the minute, and it's all about progressing.
I agree.
And progression is something that Becky spoke about last season when she was interviewed. Freya's spoken on here last week about the progression that they're making. And when she talked about the actual setup, Danielle, the setup of what's already there, it is like a Super League club because they're under Newcastle United's umbrella. They've got nutritionists, diet, all sorts of people there, physios that they didn't have last season.
It's a whole new team, and you know it is like a staff for a Super League team, you know, and like, well, we're not there yet, but we will get there, and I think that's shown the owners they're not just, you know, talking the talk, they're backing it up. And they're delivering on, and that's so important when you've come from where we've come from as a club. And I'm not just talking about the women, and it's the men as well. If you're going to come in and make promises, you have to deliver on them, and they have absolutely delivered on everything that they said, and they'll continue to deliver, I believe, anyway.
It's amazing, really, isn't it? Because you know, Amanda did come in and say that. I think very early on, she said that she wanted the ladies' team to be inside the umbrella of Newcastle United. She's gone and done that. Herself and Mia Dad attend the games, or a lot of them, and they're very sort of, they don't shy away from anybody. They're very sort of out there meeting everybody and showing the support, which I think is incredible. Raymond says, evening, Paul and Danielle, great show from sunny Cramlington. I think the Lasses football is class. Is it sunny there? Well, not now.
I think we had about an hour this afternoon of sunny, but that was it, really.
Yeah, winter's coming, guys. Winter is coming. Rich, good evening, Paul and Danielle. Great to catch a live show for all of 25 minutes anyway. Well, glad you're here. Paul loves, I don't know whether it's you or me, but I presume it's you. Call Me Swift says, really looking forward to this one. It's so good to see women's football finally get the recognition it deserves. Howay The Lasses. Indeed. The only footage I've seen of the games is what Adam puts on YouTube. I guess that full camera teams are a couple of promotions away. Yeah, look, it will come. It's one of these things, isn't it, that you've just been talking about there, Danielle, is the fact that is to come. They've got all that to come, where there'll be a lot more exposure as they move up the leagues, especially when they reach the Super League. And notice when, because I've got I just have no doubt that they'll be there in future seasons.
I honestly think that, you know, it was such a shame, like we've talked about, that they didn't get there last season. But I just think the motivation is in the team now to do it and achieve what we couldn't do. But I do think that that as we get better, we'll see this kind of coverage. But even looking at the ladies' development team, I found it really difficult to find a lot of information about them. You know, the pool of players that Becky's looking for future talent and for people that will make it into the women's first team. I couldn't find the fixtures. It was really difficult to find. So that needs to be a little bit more kind of easy to find.
Absolutely, because the only development side I saw was, of course, the beat Crawley at the weekend 3-1 away.
Yeah.
With Georgina Sprague getting a hat-trick. Now she, I believe, was part of the first team, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know whether what's going on there, whether they just put a few players down there to sort of help out. I don't know. But that's maybe. Again, that's why we're looking forward to getting some guests on from the women's team, just to give us an idea of how that works and what goes on behind the scenes. Because you're right, it is difficult. And I think for the website itself at Newcastle, they're promoting, they've definitely got an area for the women's team there. But I think the more and more interest that picks up in the women's game, they're going to have to do a little bit more or get their own website. But now they're under Newcastle United's umbrella, then obviously they're going to be part of that, you know, whole thing now on the
Wouldn't it be
internet,
nice though for them? I know we're not in that the kind of same position as the men's team, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to see, you know, training videos on YouTube, interviews with the players on YouTube, similar to what happens with the men's team? Because I would love that, because you know, you're inviting the engagement in from people who are already subscribed to that channel. So, you know, I think that would be great going forward if that could happen at some point.
I mean, to be fair to the media team, Twitter is okay because it does, you know, Newcastle United as a Twitter page do sort of post out latest on, you know, the women's game, and obviously the women's page, the NUSA Women, is where you'll find all the information, and it's great because you see all the training photos and the Colin does and match day photos, which
I
are
love
brilliant.
the relationship that the women's Twitter page has got with the men's Twitter page as well.
I know,
They're
I've seen a
always
bit of banter going on.
each other. It's really good. Love it.
It's great, isn't it? And that's what you want to see. And I think that'll please fans and owners alike, where they can see them sort of marrying up to each other and having that thing going on. Pork Pie says, "Hi, Paul and Danielle. Can Danielle please explain how her role works with the women's side of football?" So about your role as her game.
It's not really kind of just about women's football. It's about equality for women across the sport. So whether that's players or whether that's women who want to attend the game or have an opinion on social media and feel like they can't because they're subject to gender-based discrimination. So I might say, I mean, we all know what happened last year or earlier this year, whenever it was, when I had an opinion about a player in the men's team, and the comments that I got were absolutely appalling about the way I look, about, you know, for the fact that I'm a woman and how does my opinion count because of that, because I'm that gender. So her game too is about just tackling gender kind of discrimination at all levels of the game, whether that's you go to the game, encouraging young girls to get involved in the football club and get involved in playing football in the local area, and obviously champion the women's team. So I'm going to get some merch from her game too, fingers crossed soon, and go along to the women's games and give out some badges, etc. And really promote what it's about, because football's for everyone. It isn't just for men. It isn't just for women. Everyone should be able to go to any game they want.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I have to be really honest and say that when I've attended St James's Park, I've never had any issue with, you know, discrimination of any kind personally. So I don't think, you know, in our club per se, there's a problem there. But I think definitely on social media, where you don't have to identify yourself, you don't have to prove who you are. I think it's very easy for women who support Newcastle United to be targeted with that kind of abuse, unfortunately. And it's just my aim is to gain a partnership with Newcastle United to raise awareness for this, to say actually it's not tolerated. So we don't accept discrimination based on the colour of your skin or your sexual choices. If you're straight or not or whatever, you can be who you are. Rainbow Laces, for example, that's a good campaign. So why should we accept gender discrimination? It's exactly the same thing. So that's my aim. Sorry, it was a bit of a long-winded answer.
No, I think it's given an insight to what her game 2 is all about, because obviously that all came about because of when we had Kaz on, and there wasn't anybody representing Newcastle United. And I've seen since then, I've seen a lot more clubs or a lot more hashtag her game 2 with new clubs getting involved with ambassadors for each club. So it's very popular in some clubs, but some of the clubs it's just starting to get recognized. So again, it's one of those things that's going to take time. Geordie Metals has been a season ticket holder for the women for the last 4 years, and have been to every home and away match for them for 4 years. Well done.
Well done, Geordie Metal. Brilliant.
Ab says, weren't some teams fast track to the WSL? We have a potentially huge fan base, so why not fast track us? I think when it first kicked off, there was possibly that involved, but obviously Newcastle United, when the WSL kicked off as a women's team, they weren't even recognised by the club.
It was a foundation that supported them.
Yeah, because of certain previous owners never recognised anything and never gave them the opportunity. But now, within 12 months, they're under the umbrella of Newcastle United. They've played at St James's Park. They're going to play at St James's Park again in, I believe, November. So it's incredible. It's really, really taken off. Pedro says, I think it's fantastic that women's football is growing and growing. I mean, look, you're always going to get the idiots, aren't you, Danielle? And the idiots will never, ever go away. That's just how it is. But I think that game at St James's Park, I think it really transformed a lot of people's feelings on just what a great atmosphere and a friendly atmosphere going to the women's game is.
It was just the best day. All kinds of people were it was a family day, loads of kids around, everybody having a lovely day. It just reminded us of just like a family atmosphere. It just felt like everyone was together. And it was just lovely to see the crowds and the lines of people that they had to delay the kickoff because so many people wanted to be part of it.
That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It's just unbelievable. It's just and I just felt like this is such a monumental moment for this city and for this club that
I think we knew that before we went in, though, Danielle, because if you remember, we were standing outside. Obviously, it was you and Lee, Michael was there, and me with Ben, and we were standing there thinking, this looks like a normal match day. You know, the burger vans were there. There was hundreds of people walking around. Shearer's bar was full, and you thought, bloody hell, what's going on here? And I think it totally caught the club by surprise, given that the kickoff had to be delayed. Just how many people wanted to get in.
I don't think they were prepared to open all of the turnstiles and open all of the different ends in the ground. But hey, what a lovely problem to have.
Oh, absolutely.
They must have been absolutely blown away by it. So I just wish we could, have more women's games at St James's Park. And I think Amanda said that recently in an interview she had with either Eddie or with Matty, where she said that's the aim, that, going forward, to try and get them playing there more often. It just, I don't know kind of what the kind of how it would go about that and what the challenges are with that.
And of course, she will have the drive to make that happen, won't she? Because, obviously being a woman herself, she'll want to promote that game. And it seems like she's got a wonderful sort of relationship with Becky and the girls themselves at play. She's very full on with them, which is brilliant to see. And more of it, definitely. Steve says, I don't know about the finances, but our new signing, Charlotte Potts, was brilliant on Sunday. Yeah, she, I think, got late clearance on, I think it was Friday, to play in the game. Yeah. And she's just arrived from Calgary Foothill over in Canada.
Yeah.
Now, brilliant signing, and it just proves that these girls coming back over here are looking at Newcastle United now as probably similar in the men's game and think, well, this is a club on the rise and I want to be part of it.
She's got black and white in the blood, though, isn't she? She's
a fan,
She's a childhood, can't even speak, a Newcastle fan from being a kid, so she's got it in her, it's running through her veins, so it's no surprise to me that she was wanting to come back and play for Newcastle women. But I mean, we heard from Freya last week about the kind of injury issues that we've got going on at the women's team at the moment, particularly defensively. We'll know that Freya's currently playing centre back when she should be in midfield. So Charlotte's come in a defensive role, which is what very much needed. So, and how fantastic is it that she's bleeds black and white? I mean, you can't wish anything better, can you? So,
it's just like one of the men, being a Newcastle fan as a youngster, and then suddenly you're playing for Newcastle as an adult. It's fantastic. And as Steve says there, she had a cracking game. Most of them were, probably they had to be really on the game on Sunday because it was a huge game. If we look a bit more into that, the goal came from 3 corners. Amazing corners as well, by the way, but right underneath the crossbar. I don't know how she managed to put those corners in one after another, just straight on the goalkeeper, and eventually Ellie Dobson rose above everybody else and nodded in for the winner. But that kind of pressure on a goalkeeper, it's going to have them panicking.
Absolutely. I mean, we see it across all levels of sport and in football where, set pieces and the ball's coming in like that. It's only a matter of time if you've got players around, especially a player like Ellie. But Georgia's corners are perfect. They go in every time. And you never really see a bad corner from her.
No, I think the men need to look at how she delivers a corner, to be honest, because it looks like every corner we get is a threat.
Absolutely, and don't get us wrong. It's no disrespect to Norton because they played really, really well, and they gave it everything to stop that ball going in. But eventually you put up so much resistance and you can't do it anymore, and that's when Ellie rose like Phoenix from the flames, and it was in the back of the net. Fantastic.
And I think it'll impress Becky because a very, very tough game like that, and they've scored a goal, they've kept a clean sheet, but they've battled, and they've really battled hard to get a result from that game because, as you said, it wasn't an easy game. They're one of the tougher opponents in the league, and it proved that way. But to come out with a victory,
shows spirit, it shows everything that Newcastle United stand for. So good on them, because it could have been so easy for them. It's a second of distraction or concentration, and it could have been something completely different. So well done to every single one of them, because they deserved those 3 points. Whether it was pretty to watch or it wasn't pretty to watch, who cares? 3 points are in the bag.
Yeah, absolutely. Call Me Swift says, my favourite women's footballer at the moment is Hannah Hampton. She doesn't play for the Toon, but what a cracking goalkeeper she is. Tom says, in terms of the name of the team, some teams use women, some use ladies. Newcastle are officially Newcastle United women. I like that. If we call them ladies, it's like calling the men gentlemen. I guess it's right. Yeah.
You got a point, actually, Tom. I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, I suppose if we were going back in the 1920s, it would be Newcastle United ladies. And you'd have to say it like that, wouldn't you? You couldn't just say, "Well, it's the women." Like, it wouldn't work back then. It just wouldn't. The women's national team are playing. Yes, it's going to be a cracking game, that, Gary. The US are, I think they are number 1 rated team in the world, and will be a very, very difficult opponent for England. But that's going to be a cracking game. I'll definitely be having that on somewhere in the background during our TTR Friday anniversary
celebrations a la cans.
Caniversary. Yeah, there's a lot of people calling it a caniversary, isn't there? Rachel says, I'll certainly go and see the women, Rachel. We're not in the 20s. Women play if they come to where I live. Jack, good evening. Hope you're well, bud. Ian says, to all the season ticket holders, do any of the girls got their own chance? That's interesting.
That's a good question, Ian.
Yeah, well, I'm going to the game on Sunday, so I'm gonna see if there's any chance. It's at Whitley Park this time, though.
It is.
Where is that? Just for those of you who don't know, where is Whitley Park?
It's near Whitley Bay. It's on the Metro.
Is it? Right, because I don't have a clue.
It's NE12.
Right. I just so I know where I'm going, because I'll probably get lost.
Don't put it in your sat nav, because God knows where you'll end up.
Well, that's a good point. Amy hasn't served me well lately, but never mind. I'll get there, I'm sure. Hi, Daniel and Paul, and a very good evening to you both on this delightful night from Belfast. Godfather saying hello to Jack. Rachel says, I just had a look, can definitely do Barnsley, Leeds, and maybe Bradford. Well, why not, Rachel? They could do with your support. I'm going to try and get to a few away games as well.
I think it's a Bradford game. Is it Bradford that's going to be on the 27th of November? That's going to be changed to St. James's Park?
I believe it is. Yeah.
I think it's Bradford. That sticks in my head for some reason. I don't know why. But it's definitely the game on the 27th of November that will be.
Indeed. Well, if we look at the league standings, we have 6 games played, and this is where the situation is. We are level with Barnsley. Now, fantastic start to the season. Just that one defeat. I think it was Hull that beat us, actually, which was, I know Becky wasn't very happy after that game, and none of the girls were, to be honest. No. But Barnsley have also lost a game. But there, if you look at Norton, first defeat of the season. I know they've drawn 3, but first defeat was inflicted on them by the Lasses on Sunday or Saturday. Sorry, whenever it was. Sunday, yes. So it's looking good, Danielle, but I think what Becky will want is not to be in the position they were last season, where it's touch and go by points. She'll want to get a good gap at the top of the table and try and pull away from the rest of them.
Yeah, I think after how close it was last season, we probably don't want to go to the wire like it did. But I think she'll have a similar ethos to Edward Howe. I think she'll take a game on as it comes. Yeah, and not to look too far ahead, because I think that's a mistake that you make. You know, you get in the moment when you're really excited and you're doing so well, and you're looking saying we'll probably get 3 points from these or whatever. That's when you kind of lose focus. And I think Becky isn't like that at all. I think she.
Oh no.
I can imagine them the day after the game, and she takes training. It's very much what we can learn from the previous game, and then focusing on the one in front and nothing else. But yeah, I really hope that this is the season that it's comfortable, so it doesn't come down to one game, because that would be really, really, uncomfortable situation where you don't want.
It'd be awful, wouldn't it? If it just that last sort of game nerves again.
We just all have to get behind them. Just all have to get behind them, and let's see if we can push them over in a kind of promotion, and see if they need the 12th person. I can't really say 12th man or 12th woman, because Football's for everyone.
12th person, yeah. Just on that, did you see the thing about Newcastle changing the Howay the Lads to Howay the People or something?
It's a joke.
Why isn't it Howay the Lads and Lasses?
I don't know, but it's that was a joke. Somebody's put that up to try and get
it was a joke, was it?
Right. Billy commented on it, and somebody said, "Do you not get the joke?" And he was like, "Oh, like, and yeah, you know, some people do that."
Because I thought it was down to all this, you know, people not being a man or a woman and stuff like that, and I thought it was down to that. But if it's a joke, it doesn't matter now.
I think so. That's my impression I got of it anyway from some of the comments. Were like,
right.
Oh, it's a good one, this, isn't it? It's a good one. So
bloody hell. Jamie the Hammer says, evening. My local club, Hertford Town women, are playing their first ever season. They are part of the Hertford Town umbrella. They did beat Southend United ladies in the first qualifying round of the FA Cup.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that again just clarifies, Danielle, that you know that there is women's teams popping up all over the place now, and because I got quite a surprise, I must admit, when I was going through the league tables today and seeing all the different divisions just in the, you know, outside of the Super League. There is a massive structure to the women's game.
Absolutely. And it's not just like the teams like we have, like the first teams, there's reserve leagues of women that are fighting to get their way into their first teams for these clubs as well. So, and then you've got all of the kind of local stuff that isn't in the league particularly that happens, you know, and it's about it's brilliant that these clubs are being formed, and it's about bringing women and girls into the game, that it isn't just a man's sport. I feel like I'm banging a drum a little bit. I'm not one of those women that, like, you know.
I think you've got to, though, haven't you? And I think that's why.
It's just her game too. It's not just
it's not just her game, it's her game too, as in everybody.
Two, so everybody. So I'd have to emphasize the two part. It's not just, I'm not just saying it's a women's game now. It's for everybody.
Oven Chip says all the women's football should be on NUFC TV. You can get mobile cameras that track the ball, would be brilliant.
Oh, well, be class.
If they need a commentator, give me a shout.
Maybe less of the lion boss comments in that.
Well, you know I'd be obviously I'd be professional, Danielle, you know, but I would love to do that. No problem at all.
You know what you could do? You could get one of those shocking things, you know, and like every time you go to say something like tickle me tonsils with a lion bark and just shock you, or Susan can shock you, so that you don't do it.
Slap your face with a wet trout or something like that. Just something. I wouldn't give Susan that button. To be honest, she'd have too much fun with that, to be fair. An electrocuting button for when I swear. No, I don't think my...
You'd be a shadow of your former self, wouldn't you?
Tell you what. Jesus, let's not even go there. But it's a great idea, you know, and I think that's another thing that obviously will be looked at, especially if the games... You know, a lot more of the games get to be played at Gosforth or indeed St James's Park. I think that, you know, the facilities there are much easier to do that kind of thing than they are playing at obviously Whitley Park. But again, time will develop that, I'm sure. We've had a £10 super chat in from Geordie Metal. Thank you very much, Bud. Whitley Park is where the under-23s play.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Well, I haven't been there yet, so I'll be there on Sunday.
I'll send you the postcode.
Thank you. I'll still get lost. Raymond says, think it was class. The ladies also promoting the strips, as they rightly should do. Yeah, of course. That wasn't heard of under previous regimes, and it's great. And I think it really gives the girls a boost as well when they're suddenly, you know, doing photo shoots with, you know, standing next to Bruno and ASM and all these superstar players.
I think it's just recognition and identity for the women to say, actually, we are now part of Newcastle United. You know, it isn't, you know, what being run by the foundation and supported by the foundation, and what a great job they did. But I think this is Newcastle United generally. So whether you play for the men or the women, you're on a level playing field in terms of being able to promote, you know, the shirts and different events. Like, for example, the award ceremony that the foundation had. There was representatives from the women's team and the men's team there. So I just think it's unity, and that's so important, especially given since the takeover. It's been all about uniting the fan base, and we need to unite all areas of the club, including the women's and the men's teams.
I mean, look, I'll be honest. I got a real surprise at how good the football was when we went to see it at St James's.
It's brilliant.
And, you know, that was my first ever women's game, and I absolutely loved it. You know, Ben loved it. He was clapping and chanting away. And
Oh,
I think we all
he had a mint day, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
He loved it.
And just to see him like that, not just at the men's game, because he'd been to a couple of men's games before that, and of course they didn't score. And one of them was Cambridge.
He said something about the score more goals. The lady, the girls' team. Mm-hmm.
He did. He says the girls score more goals than the men, and because he'd been to Burnley in that Carabao Cup game, which we lost on penalties. Then Cambridge, so it hadn't really been a good experience for him last season. And then of course we take him there, and of course it was a brilliant display with good goals as well. Mary says engaging the ladies team is giving better coverage for women's football. Carl says, how many leagues are there away from the WSL?
Loads. Loads. Have a look.
Like I said before, Carl, the pyramid is huge in women's football. Now, whether they extend the see, what I can see happening is maybe that the more and more women's teams that are starting to take off and the structure is huge, then they may extend the Super League because they want more teams in there. They want to grow the brand, get a couple more teams in there, and give other teams opportunities to play at the highest level, because Sky, to be fair to them, doing a good job promoting the WSL now, with live games, etc. And we're getting to see the very top of the tree of the ladies' games, if you like. And certainly England's running the Euros in the summer. That really, really took off. It was fantastic to watch. It was a brilliant final. Some wonderful goals scored in that tournament. And I think that can only benefit
for everyone, wasn't it? It was just what a day it was. But
I think as well the game that was at the Stadium of Light when I can't remember who they played, but they absolutely destroyed them. It was a smaller nation, I think. I can't remember who they played, but it got a lot of stick because the opposition were the poor goalkeeper, she couldn't kick a ball, but that's going to happen as the more and more women start to play football, just like boys do when they start off. You're going to get that, but they'll learn as time goes on. What is good to see is the amount of women's teams that are coming, becoming national sides and trying to compete. And at the end of the day, they will get better because the time goes on. More and more girls will want to play football at school, which I think is very important as well, that there's not that kind of division at school.
There's a lot of
girls
mixed
want
teams
to be footballers.
Yeah. There's a lot of mixed teams where you see girls and boys playing together, which is fantastic. But I think in terms of the level of women's football, because I think that's been quite a debate since the Euros about, but like they're not at the same level as the men. Well, there won't be, because there isn't that level of investment in the women's game that there has been for the men's game. So you got the level of coaching, for example, the kind of availability to attend games isn't that great because of the timing of the women's games aren't always great. So all of those things have to change, and it's going to take time to change that, but you have to start somewhere, don't you? So surely bringing people in grassroots level and working their way up through the leagues and investing more like our owners are doing, putting the kind of team together that the women have now, it can only breed a better standard of football, which in effect will benefit not just Newcastle women, but the league as a general. So I just think, they do a fantastic job, and I think we're just getting started. Really,
it's exciting. If I was part of, if I was sort of, looking at the way you see them taking photos with families after the games and stuff, like you see girls, young girls with massive smiles on their faces because, to them, they are role models. The women's team now, the role models to these younger girls who are growing up at school and saying, right, I want to do this. I want to be a footballer. And that can only be a great thing. And you see them just absolutely idolizing them. And that's what it's all about. Tom says, great shout, Danielle. NUFC TV, YouTube will be a great way of introducing the women's team.
I'd love to. I'd love that. I would absolutely love it, because you know how you have your routine where you watch the press conference on a Friday and you do all of that. Wouldn't it be lovely to have the same kind of, you've got the match cams and stuff on after the game and stuff, and wouldn't it be lovely to have the same kind of thing? And when, like, say on Friday when Charlotte signed, would it have been nice to have a little interview from her to say, oh, this is who I am, and this is my background, this is where I've come from, and this is all of this. It's just connecting with the audience, isn't it? And connecting with people that wouldn't have necessarily seen it, but are on the YouTube channel because they're a Newcastle United supporter. So
and make something of it as well, like make a fanfare. Charlotte's a really good player, and to get her at Newcastle is great. And yes, as I said before, the NUFC women's social media on Twitter really does. They're out there promoting the team, but I think it helps the channels like ours, Adam's, NUFC Fans TV, all of them. Get involved, and start pushing this. Eddie at Tyneside Life as well does a fabulous job. So I think that the more and more channels that get on board and push this out. And like I say, we're doing this weekly show now. It's going to be part of the Toon Review moving forward. So we will sort of be able to do match reports and explain how the games went. But, just get more news out there. We
might be able to get a couple of bits of merch to give away as prizes. Yeah. And the main shows and stuff, and we'll see what we can do, but it's absolutely worth it. It's an investment for Newcastle United. For me, it doesn't matter which team it is, it's Newcastle United, so I'll support them regardless. But yeah, I mean, isn't it just lovely to start our first show on the week of the anniversary of the takeover, where really the investment began in the women's team? And I know I feel like I'm being a bit negative towards the foundation. I don't mean any offence at all, but isn't it lovely that they're all under the same umbrella and that we're truly united? I just love that.
Listen, at the end of the day, Daniel, if it wasn't for the foundation, there wouldn't be a women's team.
And the foundation is absolutely incredible. The work that those guys do in the oh my God. I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with the foundation in a number of different ways, and those people are incredible.
Yep. Steve says it's really nice that the players come and talk to the fans after the game, how happy the players are just to be there and how much the little ones enjoy it. Obviously, the lads can't do that. I mean, but look, that's what we're talking about. The little ones that go up to them and get the photos taken, and those little ones then suddenly turn around and say, do you know what? I want to be this when I'm older. I want to be
I want to be like Freya. I want to be like Ellie. I want to be like Katie, like.
Yeah, or I want to be a goalkeeper like Grace. I want to fly along, saving shots and things like that, and really getting stuck in. Geordie Metal says we're fourth in the fourth tier of women's league. So a way to go yet to the Super League. Millie says, I love you, Danielle.
Oh, thanks, Millie.
Tom says, I didn't agree with your point, Danielle, but the abuse you got was disgusting.
Thanks, Tom.
And that's the thing. That's where the differential lies. You when you're a woman, and I've seen it firsthand because you made that point on ASM.
Which, by the way, was a throwaway comment. It wasn't
exactly
a heavily vested opinion of my life. The way people went on about it, but
the pylon was disgraceful. Look, we've all had it, haven't we? And it doesn't matter. They're never going to go away. They'll always be there. But we just ignore them now. We're at a stage now where we're used to it, so we just have to put up with it.
But that's the thing. We shouldn't be used to it, though.
And you shouldn't be. And I mean, I'm talking as a whole here, but you got the abuse simply because you're a woman. And if a bloke had made that comment, there would have been the usual banter saying, "Oh, yeah, whatever."
And to be fair, I found out after this all happened that a man on another show did have a similar comment to make, and nothing was said. So, I mean, that speaks volumes, really. But that's the whole point of her game too, in the campaign. We should be able to say, well, an opinion. It wasn't abusive. It was just a throwaway, thought, perhaps. That I should be able to say that and not be worried that I'm going to be called ugly or I'm going to be called whatever. Like, I don't really care in that instance because the people I'll never say in my life. But at the same time,
because they live in dark rooms.
The sheer volume of comments, man, was just something else.
Francisco says, evening all, hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you may be. I have too much to say on the subject in terms of all that can be done. I'll send it on an email. Great initiative for you two. Cheers, Francisco.
The voice.
And the voice, yes, you would have heard him in the intro again. He's done an intro for TTR Friday and Fan Forum. So he's doing more and more voiceovers for the intros.
I love it.
Yeah. And I've just learned how to extend the actual graphics and stuff, so it fits in nicely. So it's all goal. We are getting more professional as the weeks go by with a professional voiceover artist like Francisco. Ian says maybe we should get some chants written for any NUFC women guests that are good enough to come on the Toon Review. I Like Coffee says, what do you think about the Howay The Lads message in the tunnel? Yeah, we've discussed that.
So can someone check that for us? Because I'm sure it's a joke, but I'm a bit daft sometimes,
surely it is.
Surely.
Howay The People. That just doesn't sound right.
I mean, I know they're talking about like person of the match rather than man of the match or woman of the match.
But listen, I've heard various comments on that as well. Saying, why, the men's game, it is men, so why not have it as man of the match? And the ladies, it's woman of the match.
We're going to get on this whole Graham Souness argument again. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, let's not bring him up. But I can. It's weird, isn't it?
It doesn't affect, and I can only speak on my personal opinion, so I'm not just speaking on behalf of her game too now. But my personal opinion is, it doesn't offend me when I hear man of the match. I'm not offended by that.
Well, as a man, it doesn't offend me if I heard woman of the match, to be honest.
So I don't know. I mean, where do you draw the line here?
It's very strange. Very, very strange. But there you go. Jamie, the Hammer says, Hertford Town women playing the 7th tier of women's football. 7th tier. And there you go. That's how big this pyramid is. It's huge. Yeah. Steve says, I completely agree, Danielle. I love my football, and I think everyone else should be able to enjoy it as much as me. Rich, I'd love it if somehow the men's and women's team did something together, even if it's a training session or something. That would also help raise the profile. Now, I brought a video out earlier today regarding Newcastle United going to Saudi Arabia during the World Cup. Now, obviously, I think the women will probably still be playing because obviously it's the men's World Cup, but wouldn't it be great to see one time both squads going over there?
I mean, I think for me,
and I'm saying that, Danielle, because of the flack that obviously Saudi gets with human rights, etc. It would be incredible,
and it's not impossible. I don't think it's. I think the thing is with Saudi Arabia, and I'm going to be really careful what I say, because I think I understand, I get it, and I know what people's issues are with with Saudi and how things happen over there. However, you have to, for me, you might call it sport washing. I might be the biggest sport wash fan on the planet of the earth, right? But the way I see it is that you have to make, if you want to be better, you have to be making steps for that to happen. And I think for Saudi Arabia to be invested in a club like Newcastle United and to promote and take the women's team under the umbrella is a big step for the club. And why wouldn't they in the future invite the women over? Like, if they're wanting to work on this and change a perception of how perhaps it's been before in terms of women's rights and what women are able to do in Saudi, then yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't at this point put anything off the table.
And as long as obviously the girls went over there and like you said, they see how important their rules are over there, and they obey by them, etc. And just again, it raises the profile.
It's the same as everybody going over to Saudi, isn't it? It's
absolutely,
as long as everybody should be treated the same, in my opinion. So everyone goes over and does the same thing. But I don't know. I'm sure there's people with various opinions on the likelihood of that happening. But for me, with these new owners, nothing's off the table. I truly believe that they are fully invested in all areas of the club.
Yep. 100%. Tony says social media and Twitter in particular is an absolute swamp.
Oh, we know.
Ian says, great words, Danielle. The scum on Twitter are just cowards. I'm glad not to be on there anymore. Look, I mean, Danielle's had it. I still get it to this day. I get called awful things on there. Absolutely disgusting things I get called on there. But listen, this is where you guys out there, the subscribers, my co-hosts, Susan, they back me up as we do for everybody else that gets it, but these people are never going to go away. But that's what Danielle's involved in her game too for. That's why we do what we can for the women's team on here, because we want to start promoting that in women's football in general, because we feel it should be done. And
it's just general equality. So me and you can have the same opinion on something, but that doesn't mean that mine should be extra scrutinized because I'm a woman.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah, and I think, the way it's going now, it's the women's game is rising. For
God's sake, we've got a woman on my board of directors.
Well, yeah, but those people that don't accept women's football are just basically going to disappear into the sunset, because this is on the rise, and it's great that we've got an option now. If the men aren't playing, we can go and watch the women, or if both of them aren't playing, we can go watch in the 23s or go to non-league games. So sod it, you know what I mean? Or go to the development team, the women's development team. But there should be, you're right what you say, there should be more information on them. You know, but I'm sure the club will work on that. Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Social media idiots are always going to be there. I'm always going to get called worse than crap on there, but you know, just block and ignore it, as I've been told many moons and many times. And now I do, and it just, because there is some wonderful people out there on social media, and I think as well as the subscribers on this channel as well. So Mrs. Toon Review says evening everyone, and she did say well said, Danielle, as well.
Thanks, Susan.
Pork Pie says, thank you, Danielle. Explained beautifully.
Thank you. Because sometimes I talk a lot of rubbish, you know. It just comes out. And then Paul Nogi glues it. I was trying to be nice there, but I'm not now.
It was funny because I just said, well, you know why I'm saying it, because it's coming up to the 1-year anniversary of you being quite
inebriated.
Yes, in celebration. That's the only reason I said that for. But Julie says, the early days of the internet, IRC channels and Usenet, I had the same thing. Whenever I had an opinion on football, was always told to get back in the kitchen, love, and comments similar to that. They're just dinosaurs, Julie. That's what they are now. They're complete dinosaurs. Listen, Susan knew absolutely nothing about football when she met me. She still knows very little, but our knowledge is getting there.
She tries, though, doesn't she?
She does, in the fact that she's interested in it. But she makes me laugh as well when she comes out with the fact that she didn't know who Desmond Tutu was. She thought he was a striker. And it's funny things like that, but she's getting there now. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. Mary says, hello to Mrs. Toon Review. Good idea, Toon Trader. Yeah, talking about the obviously the live games. Chesby says, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you're new to the show. Indeed. Thank you very much, Ches. Modern backstage there. Rachel says, in the late 90s, I worked for Huddersfield Town and got free away tickets. The worst place for sexist abuse was at the Stadium of Shite. I had numerous calls of get your things out for the lads. And that happened very recently in a game, didn't it, Danielle, when the female physio, was it Barnsley?
Yes, it was Bristol. But it was a Barnsley game, I think.
Right.
And it was caught on television. The female physio was on the pitch in the match. And being honest with you, it wasn't all men. There was women involved in that chant as well, which I find appalling. But it happens, you know, in terms of Her Game too, we get lots of reports. We've actually got a dedicated part of the Her Game 2 website where people can report where they've had kind of sexist abuse, and we will contact the clubs and report it for them. It's just completely, wholly unacceptable. But we're always going to have, unfortunately, an element of it. But we could, you know, in a year, in a bit since May 2021, when it was all put together and in cars and the ladies started the campaign, there have been massive strides across the whole of not just football. It's now Her Game 2 in rugby, Her Game 2 in cricket, you know, across all areas of sport. Or I really try not to kind of tar everybody with the same brush, because like I say, I have never ever witnessed it in my life at our club at St James's Park in person ever. And I, you know, of course, but it's not just about going to the game, is it? It's about
it's about the
all
whole
aspects.
Experience. Yeah.
Like I think somebody was saying on Twitter about worried about going to an away game on their own. They didn't want to go on their own. I mean, why wouldn't you want to? Why is that happening? So, I mean, it's a longer conversation for a different day.
But I've been to away games. Of course, it's different for me as a man. But you know, the away games I went to last year, I only went to a few, and then decided obviously to do the watch-alongs. But Wolves away, Leicester away, Liverpool away. I never felt under threat. I never felt worried. You know, walking along there, it was quite a threat. Leicester was very friendly.
We've got loads of women that go to these away games, and but just because we haven't heard anything, we don't know if that is the case. But of course, people can report it through Her Game 2. If it does happen, we're not talking about from our own fans, by the way. We're talking about from opposition fans. So,
absolutely. Indeed. Jackie says a new nice stadium build would be great for the women's team. I think that'll come. That will certainly come. No doubt about that. I think if this new I know the revamp in the training centre at the minute, but I said in my video earlier on today that eventually I think that'll be a thing of the past. They will find new land to build a brand new training complex, and I'm sure that they'll build a stadium like Manchester City have done.
Oh, we could have pictures of the women out on the stadium with the men. It could be beautiful. I've got pictures already in my mind.
Well, there you go. Get Danielle involved. She'll build a new stadium for you, as well as get the check.
I'll design it.
Yeah, but what I meant was Man City have obviously done that for their women's team. They've got that stadium on the complex, which is their home stadium, which is
and they're years ahead of the project than us.
Way ahead of us.
We've got plenty of scope to improve and build, and I'm sure we will.
100%. Steve says first of that sequence of corners from Georgia was going direct in the top corner. Keeper only just kept it out. It was incredible. And to be fair, the goalkeeper did really well to tip that over the bar, because that was going right in the top corner. You're right.
That full stretch mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the video, but
by the way, there was some brilliant saves made by both keepers in that game. And Grace pulled off some fantastic stops. So well done to her. Raymond says Georgia Gibson is an outstanding player. Reminds me of Beth Mead. Yeah, I think she stood out for us last season at that home game, Danielle.
She did. Yeah, she absolutely did. And she had a chance at the game, a number of chances at the game at the weekend. So yeah.
I'm a big fan. I like Katie up front. I think she's a proper number 9 who just loves getting stuck in, and for her size, considering some of the defenders that she plays against, she's like a little sort of terrier, isn't she? She's brilliant.
I love her.
Rich says, how does the transfer window in the women's game work? Maybe if there are differences in any part of the processes, is it worth going over these things in these shows? Yes, it is, Rich, and we will find out. The more we do these shows, the more research we're going to do, and obviously, hopefully get some more guests on to talk about these kind of things. And then if you guys have any questions for the guests, then like you did with Freya last week, which was a huge success, we can certainly do that.
Absolutely.
There's the link to follow Danielle's Her Game 2 on Twitter. So just click on the link there, the link tree for the Toon review, because Susan's involved the Her Game 2 link there now for, thanks, all Susan. The Toon review pages that Danielle's is part of that. So you're in amongst all the links to the social medias, Danielle. So there you go.
Thank you.
Geordie Metal, there you go. NE129FA. That's not really. Ian says at least the Tyne Tunnel's not £6.10 if you get lost. I know. Yeah.
I mean, that would be ironic, wouldn't it?
It's changed because the toll booths have gone. I didn't have a clue.
You could have got an app.
Yeah, when we brought those shirts up, that shirt and that up for you the other week, Danielle, didn't realise that there was no toll booths. And then it said, you had to ring up and pay. And I still haven't done that. But never mind.
Yeah. You never learn, will you?
Nah. But it's just one of them things. Julie says Leeds is only down the A1. Yeah, that's not a long trip at all. You're there before you know it.
We need the Toon. You know what we need? The Toon review camper van. That's what we need.
Oh, don't you start as well. Do you know what it is? It's also every time we go drive past a motorhome, right? She says, "Oh, that would be good painted with a Toon review down the side."
Yeah, we could go to all the women's games, and the away games.
Hey, why not? Why not?
With the Howay The Lasses flag out the window, be class, man.
Yeah. Cesare says, I wonder if in an indirect way, a strong NUFC women's team might just be a cause for positive influence in Saudi. We could, as a club, ignite change. Who knows? Well, we spoke about that before, Cesare, and you're right. And I think that's, again, something positive that could come out from this takeover is, them learning from us and us learning from them. It goes both ways. Let's not forget that.
It could be a positive catalyst for change.
Yeah. Getting the women's team out there would be fantastic. Rachel says, at a push I could do Chorley and Stockport. Well, if we get this bloody minibus that Danielle and Susan are after, we'll pick you up on the way, Rach.
Oh, yeah. We'll just, we'll do the Toon review taxi. We'll do that.
Absolutely. And York, she says. Gary says, Cesare Saudi have their own women's team now. Yes, they do. So there's another big thing.
I've got an idea.
Oh, dear.
You know what we could do on the camper van, right? Could have one of them speakers on the top of the camper van, And then when we're going to pick somebody up, we could play like, the Toon review, like Francisco's stuff.
Oh dear God!
Class.
So we're pulling to somebody's street to pick them up, and then like instead of an ice cream van tune, we play the Toon review stuff with Francisco's voice belting out into the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Dear God.
Class, man. Class. It's a plan, Susan.
She's watching, so don't do that. Tom says, to be fair, these days, if you were putting in a new display, you could do it electronically to display How Are the Lads for men and How Are the Lasses for women.
Could, Tom.
Indeed. Good idea, Tom. Steve says it definitely was a joke about the How Are the people. The guy from United with Pride who works with the inclusion officer had a go at them for it. I'm going to try and get him on the channel, actually.
I'm proud of myself, because normally I fall for that kind of stuff.
Well, you do, yes. But again, you're sober. So I'm going to try and get the guy from United with Pride on. I've spoke to him before because I spoke to him on another channel, and we were going to try and get something arranged. So we'll try and get him back on.
Brilliant.
Norvik, good evening, my friend. Francisco says, these are the times when I'm a bit envious of you all being able to go and see those games. No such luck down here. I'll have to compensate when I go visit. You will, Francisco, but, I mean, not recent times, but normally Puerto Rico, you've got lovely weather, apart from what's happened in the last few weeks, of course.
Yeah, of course.
And we hope everybody's safe out there and recovering from that awful hurricane. If they need a commentator, is Billy available? Wind up merchant. Ab says electrocution gadget. Get that on the merch.
Yeah.
Suzanne.
Good luck with finding that.
No. The 1860 Munich commentator is the only man.
Oh my God.
Not. Dear
God. Remember?
Yeah, that would not promote the women's team at all. It would go backwards. Hello from Charlotte, North Carolina. It's great for the ladies team to be under the Newcastle wing now. Indeed it is. I bet it's nice out there in North Carolina right now. How many teams get promoted? I think it's just one, isn't it?
One.
Yeah, it's that's why they missed out last season. They finished second, and I think that's harsh. One team, that's got to change. Again, the pyramid getting bigger now. That's got to change. It simply has to. Foxy says would be great to see us bring some players in from overseas too. Daniela Montoya or Catalina Uzme would be my top picks. How does it work with the work permits for the women's game? Is it more difficult? I think it would just be the same. I don't see any difference between men or women for work permits.
Definitely ask that question, though, can't we? We can definitely ask that question about work permits.
But I think those players are a little out of reach at the minute, to be honest, Foxy. But why not in the future? Definitely bring in the world's top players to Newcastle, as we're going to do with the men as well. Dave says we owe so much to Amanda. Eddie and the lads and the women are doing it for us, but I think without Amanda, it would be a very different vibe. She played football. She gets it. She gets the tune. Glad we have her.
Still a dream. Still a dream. I
think it goes underestimated just how much she does, to be honest. I think she is, and we did say, just after the takeover, Danielle, that she is the linchpin. She runs it over here for
driving force, isn't she?
For the Saudis. She is the head figure, and she's a woman. And people forget that when they talk about the takeover, about the Saudis and stuff. They put her in the chief seat to run this club over here for them. And she's doing it with aplomb. She's done a wonderful job in the last 12 months. And you can't not like her because she's so humble. Her and Maydad aren't walking around as if, oh, look at how much money we've got and we own the club and all of this kind of thing. They're nothing like that. They're just so down to earth, meeting everybody, talking to everybody. And you would never have thought that an owner like Amanda would come down and talk to Eddie like she did, or Matty at the women's games. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. And I think for me, they're repairing so many broken kind of pieces at the club. Like we had the Chivas bar being returned rightfully to its name, and all of the legends being welcomed back into the club that were previously no longer welcome under the previous regime, and fixing all of these little grains and seeds of evil that have been put in there before. And they're such quick wins, but they mean so much. Like they mean so much to connect everybody together. she's a very clever woman. And one day I'll get me interview. One day I will.
One day you'll get a checkbook as well.
Well, I can always try.
Geordie says also a shout out for the development team. They play at Druids Park and entry is free. They would love your support. Well, that's the thing, Geordie. Yeah, they would, but there needs to be more information on the development team because there isn't enough out there, I think. And it's not a criticism, it's just to get more information out and people will respond to that.
I know that they're in the reserves division, but I found it really difficult to find anything. On them at all.
Tough to find.
Apart from on the club website, of course. But...
Yeah. Jimmy says, thank you, everyone, for your support.
Oh, Jimmy, well done.
Jimmy, fantastic news, mate. It really was. And obviously, I've supported you on social media, but absolutely fantastic news that Jimmy's coming off the ventilator after 11 years and slowly going to come off the, what's it called again? The trachea.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm clever.
Slowly weaning off that in the next couple of years. I don't know what it was, years or months, but it's fantastic news, Jimmy. And listen, hats off to you, man, because you've been through hell, buddy, and you've come through the other side. And are continuing to, you come on the fan forums and you laugh and you joke, despite your situation. You battle on. You
for me. I just love them.
Yeah, you are an absolute role model to everybody else. Just to turn around and say, look. Yeah, I've got a disability, but I crack on with stuff and I can still enjoy life, which is exactly what my situation is. And you inspire me, man. You really do. Come from someone that has an illness like Parkinson's, seeing you do what you do. And also, obviously, John Joe as well at the games.
Character John Joe is, I love him too.
Yeah. And they inspire me just to say, look, sort of get on with life, and yeah, things are difficult at times, but we go through it together, and that's the main thing.
Of course we do.
So, Jimmy, hope to see you back on the fan forum shortly, mate, and absolutely fabulous news. John says, it's brilliant, guys, that you have a women's show full stop. Thank you very much.
Brian, we're doing it.
We are. Geordie Howay Man says, at work until 10 tomorrow. We'll have to watch the takeover stream when I get in. Paul says, it's Friday. Good presenting as per, says Paul. Christopher says, speaking of women's football, I watched an interview with Alex Scott on another YouTube channel. She talked about her upbringing and childhood, amongst other things. Very powerful and emotional.
If anybody hasn't watched it, please watch it, because
she's kind of the pinnacle, isn't she, of where you can go.
Well, she's one of these women who've been, trailblazers for everybody they've gone after her, and her story is absolutely incredible. The things that she has experienced and gone through. As a woman is unbelievable. She is an inspiration. So please, if you get time, please watch it. It is on YouTube for you to see it. It just, I can't give the words. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I like coffee says, I'd love to hear Francisco's intro for TTR's Howay The Lasses. You missed it today. Make sure you tune in next week and you'll hear it. Get here on time is the answer to that. Andrew says, Howay the Mags. That'll do. Yeah. Howay the Mags.
7-0, Andrew. 7-0 on Sunday.
Or 7-0 Mags. That's what we should put for that's what will be on Andrew's gravestone, won't it? 7-0. Nothing else, just 7-0. Malcolm says, women's football in New Zealand is really strong in a rugby-crazed country. That's good news. Again, coming through. Did I say thank you to Spike for that 10 quid? I can't remember. But thank you again. If I didn't, I do apologise if I missed it. It's great that Toon Review is promoting the women's team. Thanks, Spike. Good evening to Mrs. Basil Brush. Chesu says, you get one more please keep comments respectful, as definitely, yes.
Oh, dear.
Jackie says, Newcastle's women's team against Saudi's women's team would be a start. What a game that would be.
Incredible.
They'd have to televise that.
We'd have to get my camper van.
Indeed. Norvik is convinced that Francisco is doing the voiceovers for Sky Atlantic Game of Thrones, even though Francisco completely denied that last night. It's somebody that just sounds like him. £30 for a season ticket is awesome. Don Fan says, over here in the US, the women's national team draws better than the men. They do, which is incredible. The crowds are bigger. But the men aren't playing very well at the moment, I understand. Mary says, She says, thank you, Danielle, for the work you do on equality. It's appreciated for every person that has been through fecking hell, both in person and on social media. Geordie Howay Man says, successful Newcastle women's team raises the profile of the whole area. Look at Man City and how they've embraced it.
Absolutely. It's like a ripple effect across everywhere. So, yeah, it's so 100%. Important.
Oh, even on a women's night, we've got bloody Chippers Plumbing channels in again. Dan says, do the women currently get paid enough to need a second job, lower tier or not? They need to be able to fully focus on football to reach the heights they're aiming for. Again, we'll discuss that with the guests, but I don't think it's there. Absolutely. John says, I believe that's supposed to say Danielle knows her football, full stop. Well said. Haaland's apparently scored again.
Wow. I'm not bothered when it's not fantasy football week.
I know. Yeah, if it doesn't affect Danielle's points, she's not asked. The Women's World Cup is going to be played in New Zealand and Australia in July 2023. So really looking forward to watching. Hopefully some Geordie lasses, and that would be incredible.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And that's got to be the goal. I mean, maybe not for next year, but certainly in World Cups
tournaments. Absolutely, it's a goal. Of course, it is.
Why not? Geordie Metal says they've just started to be paid, but not enough to give up their jobs.
We've got police officers in my squad, so we've got people, on all kinds of jobs, and how wonderful it is. But of course, as we become more successful and climb the leagues, then hopefully that will change.
Ross says Emma Hayes definitely deserves a chance at managing the men's team. She's that good. Imagine her coaching our Toon ladies as well. Well, excuse me, but no. Becky's doing a fantastic job as it is.
Thank you very much.
We don't need another manager for Newcastle, guys. Becky is incredible and Becky is as focused as Eddie Howe. Let's just say that she's fantastic. But Emma Hayes for a Premier League team, we spoke about this the other day actually on the show, Danielle, saying that about somebody like Emma Hayes taking over a men's team, and why not? And hopefully that'll happen in years to come. Les, thank you very much for your £5 super chat. He says, at long last, we are united thanks to Amanda. 100%. Ashley 80 says, hi, I'd love to see them get more at St. James's if we can. Maybe one day if we ever move from St. James's, they could move in. Wouldn't that be amazing? Or, Amanda saying, no, we're not getting rid of St. James's Park because we need that for the ladies because they're currently averaging 50,000.
Imagine.
Wow.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. Steve says, I'd definitely take Wiegman over Southgate for the men's. Absolutely. 100%. Ian says, I've got a tune for Freya to the tune of Hey Ya by Outcast. Oh, yes, I see where you're going with that. Freya. That would be quality, actually. Can you imagine the fans singing that? Brilliant. Rachel says, don't forget to hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and press the bell to get notifications when uploads and lives are on. Which, with content like this, why wouldn't you? And it's free. Well said, Rachel. Indeed. Jackie says, get a Toon review mystery bus.
Yes, that's what we need to do. I mean, it wouldn't be very mystery with the Toon review theme tune blending out of it, but and the flags hanging out of it and everything else, and we'll probably get lights and smoke.
Wow, Jesus Christ! God, it's like listening to Susan. You and her should never ever get together again. Too many of these camper vans going on. Dolphin says Adam P is going to all the women's games this year. He is indeed.
Do you know what it is? What a fantastic channel he has. Like the dedication he has shown. Good on you, Adam.
And to be fair to Adam, he doesn't have the same sort of commitments that I've got, i.e., the illness, the kids, the family. And I think Adam is utilizing that time brilliantly.
Tell you what, if I had my time again. If I had my time again and I was much younger than I am now, and I hadn't have university and I had the balls to do what he's done and just go for it, I would have done. And anybody who says different is a liar. Like everyone would love to do it.
Of course they are. He's living his dream, and why not? But like I said, that's what I mean.
He's a good friend of ours, Adam. So I've got a lot of respect for him.
He is absolutely. He's a good friend of mine and yours, and he's brilliant at what he's doing, and good on him because he's promoting the women's game brilliantly.
He's just great at what he does. So I think his vlogs are funny.
Yeah, but he's got, like I say, he's got no commitments, and he can do this.
Good
and listen, he doesn't have to. He could be living the life of Riley, but he's not. He's dedicated to Newcastle and all the clubs that play under that umbrella, and that is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. So well done to him. And like I say, the more get behind the women's team, the more sort of exposure they get, then the better it gets for them. Ashley 80 says, I'm not sure if Danielle would like the camper with 3 men on it. Well, definitely not Billy. I mean, Billy, eating his curries and then the morning out. Oh dear.
No, I mean, we'd have to make arrangements.
Yeah.
There'd have to be like some kind of ventilation system.
Ventilation? Bloody hell. Termination. Lewis says, hi, I've watched the women's team for a while now, and missing narrowly out on promotion last year was heartbreaking. Should be getting it this season.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Come on, the Lasses.
Behind them, 100%. Perhaps you could do an overview of the teams they're competing against in the league and the route we're on a chart, RE path to the Women's Premier League. Absolutely.
Well, you know what that sounds like? It sounds like a job for Stato.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Stato Street, that is mine.
Yeah. Francisco says the camper would be a great option for the Toon Review on the road. Get the proper equipment in, good connection, and you're good to go.
And when you come over, Francisco, we can just stick you in the sunroof with a mic. Do you know what I mean? Like you can do like live
with a big speaker on, like they do when they drive through the streets promotion. You know, when they do like sort of elections and things like that, they drive through your street, vote, and Cesare can just be, it's Toon Review, and like people will be like on night shift and sort of fast asleep on a morning, and then suddenly they'll hear those wonderful dulcet tones that Rachel's probably got as our ringtone now. But there
Absolutely.
you go. George is late again, gone back to the start. George, I've told you about them strip clubs, man. You've got to get out of there. It'll drag you down. I Like Coffee says the Toon Review cruise. Oh, now we're talking.
I mean, we could
Let's
follow
just
the
get a
Lasses
yacht
everywhere, couldn't we, on the boat?
Oh, God. Mary says, Francisco, all that needs is comfy seats to keep any rocky movements even. Tony says, you have lovely weather there as Francisco's driving around trying to find where's patio furniture ended up.
Bless him.
Yes, but I did say about the hurricane and everything, and Francisco knows that. Amanda enjoys it. When you enjoy work, you can go more.
Absolutely. It's not a job for her. She just absolutely, it was a dream. Look how long she fought for it. So it's everything that you need to know.
Yeah. It was Rafa who introduced Amanda to NUFC. She came to a match. Yeah, we do know that.
Yeah, I remember the first time when I wasn't at the game. Lee was at the game because he had a season ticket, and I was watching at home. And it said, there's a lady in the crowd who's rumoured to be interested in buying a football club, and they zoomed in on her. And I took a photo and I sent it on WhatsApp to Lee saying, this lady's in the crowd, Amanda Staveley, that's her name, have a look. But of course, the Wi-Fi is crap. It's in James's Park, isn't it? So he didn't get it.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he got it when he was on the bus home. But
that's something else. Newcastle United Wi-Fi, bloody hell.
Well, when I was in the barracks and I was in that end of the ground, it was perfect, wonderful.
Well, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
Ross says would love it if we signed Ella Toon. Perfect name. Oh, it would be, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's written in the stars, that, isn't it?
Oh God, Ella Toon. Yeah, brilliant. Everybody saying to Jimmy, what great news, loads of see, that's what a great family this Toon Review is here, the subscribers. There's absolutely hundreds of messages there to Jimmy saying great news, Jimmy, and glad to hear it and things like that. Tony says, did Paul really tell someone to get here on time?
I mean, I wasn't going to say an out. I let that one go, to be honest. I pick me battles these days.
Yes. Right. Finally, let's just turn to this weekend for the Lasses.
Yeah.
And it's Durham. Oh, I haven't uploaded it to the site. Why hasn't that come on? There it is. Just give me 1 second. StreamYard's a pain in the ass at times. It really is. There you go. That is the fixture at Whitley Park on Sunday. Kickoff 2:30. It is Newcastle United women against Durham Sestria.
National League Cup. This one.
It is. It's a League Cup game. It's not a league, but of course Durham Sestria are in the same league as Newcastle.
I think we'll play them straight after. I think.
I do believe so.
Two games very close together anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking match, without a doubt. And of course, the women will be wanting to progress through to the next round. If you look at Durham Sestria at the minute, 4th in the league, only 2 points off Newcastle United. So that is I know it's a cup game, but they're very close in the league. It's going to be a cracking game. So if you can get to Whitley Park, for 2:30 kickoff on Sunday, obviously Newcastle play on the Saturday. get yourself to Whitley Park, support the lasses, because I'm going and I'm going to take the GoPro. I'm going to get some footage, hopefully get a couple of interviews if any of the girls will be happy to do that, and then hopefully ask them to get on the channel for this weekly show on a Wednesday night, and hopefully we'll get some more guests on in the future. But whatever, me and Danielle will be presenting this moving forward, with we'll look back at the matches and we'll still talk, we'll talk a lot about women's football as well, not just focusing on Newcastle United women. We'll talk about women's football in general and how people are enjoying it and where it's going and things like that. So we'll keep the process going and hopefully give much more exposure to the lasses. But what we do want to come out of this is definitely to see more on social media side of things and YouTube about the women and maybe highlights and getting the camera in there. I'm willing to commentate. Hell knows it would be hilarious. And also the development team. We need to see a bit more about them as well, give them a bit more exposure.
Absolutely.
Moving forward. But thank you very much, everybody. Norvix Action, what night is the giveaway? It's tomorrow night. We're going to give the other shirt away.
A giveaway, me.
Yeah. Well, we love a giveaway. We do. Dancers merch ideas for you are bobblehead Toon review characters. Well, to be fair, Dan, Susan's already been thinking about that, and I'm not sure how I feel about overtaking a car and seeing my head bobbling around in the back window of the car I've just overtaken. Making a joke about Parkinson's, God forbid, but sometimes my head shakes anyway. So I am a walking bobblehead, but that's just the way life is. But I find it very strange. Or if I'm overtaking a car and I see, Stato staring at me with his shades on, just a little bit strange, to be honest. But hey ho. But there you go, guys. That is it for tonight. If you have enjoyed tonight's debut show on Howay The Lasses, please do hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, please do hit the subscribe button. It is free to do so. And also the bell that will tell you when we go live or upload any videos. And also, you can become a member of the Toon Review if you hit that join button just underneath the video itself. Members giveaways, shirts to give away if you're a member. Okay, so please make sure that you're all in on that. But anyway, that is it for tonight. Danielle, you've been absolutely fab. Thank you very much. Howay The Lasses will be back at the same time. Well, it won't be. It'll be 7 o'clock next Wednesday. I will make sure my arse is in gear. But we will see you very, very soon. In fact, tomorrow night on the preview show for the Brentford game. Good night, people. Take care.
Howay The Lasses.